welcome back to Look Who's Talking Podcast. I am your host, Onicia, and I just want to say thank you and welcome back to all the old viewers and welcome back to my new viewers. Do me a favor and make sure you click that subscribe button. Right now, I just want to say welcome. Thank you guys for all of the support, all of the love. Remember, this is a platform that's created for your voice to be heard while having hard conversations intended to spread love, encourage healing, and embrace vulnerability. I am just so happy about this particular host today. I have a lot of people who always ask me, what church do you go to? Or who are your spiritual leader? Or who are your pastors? And they always ask this because when they see us serving in the capacity that we do in ministry, they always want to know who is it that pour into us spiritually. So I have my very own, my pastor, my apostle, my spiritual father. He is here on the couch with us today, tuned into this conversation. You guys do know I typically film on Sundays, and the tips that I'm always bringing you guys and the encouragement is from my pastor. So today he is here. I don't have to do the encouraging. I don't have to do the recaps of the sermon because we are going to hear from him ourselves. So Bishop, you ready?
I am ready.
Yes,
Thank you for
sir.
the opportunity for being here. I just want to start out by saying I am so proud of you.
Thank
I
you.
have definitely watched you evolve over the last 2 years, particularly from your mindset, your hustle, your strategy, your attitude, and the things that you have accomplished in the last 2 years. So I just want to say I have recognized your evolution. I am
Oh,
so
thank you,
proud of you
Bishop.
and what God is doing in your life and where God is taking you. So I want to start off by saying I am super proud of you as your
Thank
spiritual
you. Thank you.
father. Yep. But I'm here. I'm glad to be here again. It is my honor and privilege to be here and just share my heart, whatever things you have going on to share.
Y'all could see on the previous episode I had my spiritual mom, Pastor D, which is his wife, and I told y'all when we were talking about him, I said, y'all, he's a big stepper. And so y'all can see it for y'all self in a funny moment because remember I was telling y'all how she liked to hook me up with lames and look at her husband? Nothing about him is a lame, nothing. So you guys can see him for yourselves. Y'all can see what I'm talking about. But I'm excited about this conversation in particular because I think that it is imperative to allow the outsiders looking in sometimes to see the church in this view, in this standpoint, because a lot of times when it comes to ministry, people are always on the outside looking in and they always have their own perspective on things, their own mindset. They're always judging and it's always just so much harsh judgment on the church. So I feel like it was imperative to bring my spiritual father so we can sit and have a vulnerable conversation when it comes to things in ministry, serving, and all those things. Because a lot of times we see pastors and we feel like they're just this big tough skin, but pastors, they're just like us. They're humans like us. They go through things like us. They don't show it a lot of times because a lot of times they have to carry the weight of their members because they're always doing the ones that's pouring, but sometimes they need their members to pour back into them. And I just wanted to have this conversation to just shed light on this. I've been under Bishop. Yeah, it's been a while. It's probably almost 10 years, y'all. It's been a long
Yeah.
time. Let me give y'all the backstory of why he gave me that and said he was proud of me. Because when I first started, y'all know I always be telling y'all how I had my rebellious moments in ministry. And so as my spiritual leader, he's seen those rebellious moments in ministry, y'all. So that's why he said he have seen the growth in me spiritually. And it has just been like a great, great, great journey. And so, Bishop, I want you to kind of just give them a little backstory with you in ministry. How did it start? Like, how did it come about? Give it to them.
Okay, well, of course, I'm from Clinton, Louisiana, which is pretty much 15 miles from where we're filming at today.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in 1991, got a scholarship to Delaware State University in track and field, and also in band and a computer science scholarship. I also wasn't going to college to get saved, if you will, but that was pretty much God's plan
Mm-hmm.
for my life. I received Christ in my journey, matriculation in college, and from that point, my life kind of catapulted just from my yes to God. I didn't get into a ministry to become a pastor, become a bishop, or an apostle. I just was excited about being saved and excited about seeing something different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about serving, excited about feeling the presence of the Lord, excited about seeing literally miracles, signs, and wonders, happen right in our eyes. Again, I come from a humble beginning. We have humble beginnings from where I come from. But God has blessed me tremendously since then. But again, I gave my life to the Lord in 1991. He filled me with the Holy Spirit in 1992. And I came up just serving on the prayer team. I was over the
Mhm.
prayer guild for a season. I was in the choir for a season. I ran the sound for a season. I was a minister to God. So I was on a pastor's financial board. Like I just served my way up. I never got into this saying, "Oh, I want to be a pastor," for the reason people get into these days.
Right.
That wasn't my heart. I wasn't even thinking about being a pastor. I was just glad to be saved and that God had transformed my life and what God was doing in my life. And God just saw fit. Of course, when you be faithful over a few things, of course, the Bible said God will make us ruler over the much.
Mhm.
Promotion come not from the east nor the west, but it comes from God. So I didn't ask to sit in the seat that I'm sitting in. It was pretty much God had chose that seat for me to sit in before the foundation of the world without my plans. My
Right.
plans was other things.
Mhm.
My agenda was other things.
Mhm.
But when you have a call on God, when you have an assignment on your life, God will set people in place
Yeah.
and that you will cross path to get you to his purpose. And
Right.
that's pretty much what happened to me.
Mhm. Yeah, and so it was a key thing, y'all. He started at the bottom and he worked his way to the top. So pretty much he didn't skip the process because a lot of times I always talk about this and I always tell my viewers a lot of times we want to skip the process and just get straight to the promise, but you got to go through the process. You cannot rush it wherever God may have you in that season. You got to sit in that season and go through it because no over time promotion comes, and I really do love that you made sure to stick that out to my viewers because a lot of times those in ministry, those who are not in ministry, I feel like we all have a calling on our life. God has chosen us all to do something. And we may be still navigating or trying to figure that out, but a lot of times when we're going through this or things that's been spoken over our life, God have called you to do this. He
Mm-hmm.
have called you to do that. True. Yeah, he have, but we have to go to the process. And a lot of times when we get there, we try to step into that prematurely before time, and then things go downhill, and then we start to question and we start to doubt God. It's like, God, you promised me this, you told me this, but it's a lot of times that we want to skip the process. And you guys, he has been pastoring for a long time, and as pastors have a grace and an understanding that we don't have as members. And a
Right.
lot of times we are always like, oh, if I was a pastor, I would have did this, I would have did that. But we don't see grace from you
Mm-hmm.
guys' standpoint. We don't see chastising from you guys'
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. Like I feel like with pastors, their forgiveness is to like another level compared to when you're just a sheep in the church. And so I kind of want to focus on that in regards to being in ministry, and like how do you even approach that as like pastoring, just how do you approach pastoring overall, because I know it could be a lot sometimes.
It's very challenging.
Mhm.
I want to pick it back on the word you said, of course, grace.
Mhm.
Um, First of all, God have given all us grace to do what He assigned us to do.
Mhm.
What happened is people try to emulate and mimic what somebody else is doing,
Mhm.
but you don't have the grace for it. You don't have
Mm-mm.
the metron for it.
Mm-mm.
So we have to step in the lane or walk the shoes that God have called us to walk in before the foundation of the world. I've been pastoring 20 years, but in the kingdom for 30 years,
Mhm.
right? But the Bible declares in Jeremiah 3 and 15, I will give you pastors according to my heart that
Mhm.
shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And when you have a grace to
Mhm.
pastor, God will allow those difficult members, those
Yep.
difficult seasons, those difficult situations, those difficult things that happen as a pastor. He will give you the grace to get through those seasons. Why?
Mhm.
Because you're
You're
grace
crazy.
forward, just like
Mhm.
your grace to dance, your grace to do what you do cosmetically, your grace to motivate people.
Mhm.
All the things God have given you that grace to do that before the foundation of the world. It's not something that you ask for. It's bestowed upon you
Mhm.
before the foundation of the world. So for me, when your heart is in the right place and you're serving from the right posture in ministry, in
Mhm.
leadership, even if a job, if you're serving from the right place, God will also make sure that you be successful in those things. So you advance in those things,
Mhm.
or He will lay His hands and breathe upon that because your heart is doing it from the right place.
Mhm.
And for me, I love my members.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Everybody knows that. Like I
Mhm.
know all of my members'
Mhm.
name.
Yep.
Most of the time I know their spouse's
Yep.
name. I know their children's
Yep.
name. I know their occupation.
Mhm.
I take time to get to know the sheep that I am
Mhm.
shepherd. I try to build a relationship with that. And for me, that's the part that hurts me when betrayal or when uh, denial or when contention happen from someone
Right.
that you serve from a genuine place. When someone comes to my church, I don't expect anything from you. I don't want anything from. I'm just here to serve you, right? And
Right.
as we grow and as we evolve, and you start to matriculate, and God start to bless you, and things start happening positive, just show that same reciprocation in
Right.
so many words. And I've been through seasons. Of course, you've been with me a
Mm-hmm.
while, so you know some of the things I've gone through
Yep.
with dealing with people that I've served from a genuine place,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get that same plate. I wasn't dealt those same cards when it came to their
Mm-hmm.
response to me. So it takes a lot to be able to absorb that and still desire to pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, we are humans
Yep.
just like anybody else. So we
Mm-hmm.
hurt, we have emotions, we have
Yep.
feelings, we have days that we want to be bothered, don't want to be bothered. And we have to learn how to navigate through
Mm-hmm.
those times and those moments in those difficulties.
Yep.
Relationships are challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Pastoring is all about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Being, because people have expectation of who you should be.
Yep.
And if you don't meet those criteria, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
make all the check marks, then that's how that goes. They'll
Yep.
search for the leaderships or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
So every person is not called to a particular pastor.
Mm-hmm.
My sheep know my voice.
And we
So
do.
when you hear your leader's voice or your shepherd's voice, you'll know, no, that's my leader.
Right.
You can hear T.D. Jakes, you can hear Noel Jones, you
Yep.
can hear Juanita Bottom, but when your leader open their mouths,
You know it.
there is going to be an utterance. There is going to be a quickening. There is
Yep.
going to be a confirmation. No, that's my leader right
Yep.
there. When Elizabeth met Mary, there was a quickening. There was a response. There was a something that quickened in it. Like, no, what God was.
Yep.
This is a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't just go and pick a leader because, oh, that's the hot church in the
Yep.
city.
You
No,
don't.
your spirit have to respond when
Exactly.
they open their mouth, so you can grow, so you
Yep.
can evolve, so you can develop and be what God have called you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times in the hour that we live in, people go to popular churches or churches that are trendy,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't really think about what God have called. You want to be what God have called you to be.
Yep.
Not where my best friend go. Even if it's a family church, sometimes you have to step out of a family church
Yep.
and go where God is calling you, because that leader have your deliverance and
Yep.
salvation in their mouth.
And I want to kind of piggyback off what you said. Sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone, because it's no secret in my family, a lot of us are called to do ministry. And we have did ministry with family for years. And anybody know my family, like, it's always been, oh, you guys are called, the mantle is on your life, and this, and that. And so we did ministry with family for years. But I can testify that it wasn't until we stepped into the doors of Jericho International Ministries that we have evolved and we have grew spiritually. Like, even family tell us, they're like, they always say, to be honest, since you guys have been under Bishop Smith, like, we've seen the growth in you spiritually. So that goes back to knowing your leader, like knowing their voice. And I can honestly say that with this spiritual connection between your church, this is how we knew that was where God wanted us to be, because we have seen growth in ourselves. And we always sit down and we always talk about it, like, it wasn't until we encountered the bishop himself that we grew spiritually. Like, we wouldn't have even seen ourselves here until we got into Jericho International Ministries. And even with Mega Ministries, I always hear a lot of people say, because I be talking to some of my friends and I be like, oh, I can just text my pastor, I can text my first lady. And they be like, you got your pastor number? And I'm like, yo, yes. And let me tell you, our church is not a small church. Like, it'd be like 300 plus members every Sunday. And the fact that I can attest to him saying he know his members by name, and like, they be so shocked that your members, we have that connection with him. But I be like, y'all, yes. I'm like, he better not text me back the same day. But depending on, let me say this, depending on how imperative and how important it is, I would get a text back and they just be so surprised at the fact that you have, like, y'all have y'all leaders' personal numbers. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, we don't sit under leaders who it's hard to get in contact. We cannot reach out like we can. This man make it his business, y'all. Every Sunday after he preached, to stand in front of that church, and he said everybody to come give him a hug. I be like, sir, I be after church, I'm ready to get out the door. Y'all, he stands in front of that pulpit. And let me tell y'all, because I work in the media ministry, so we be trying to give them the hint. We get to turn the mics off. We get to turn the monitors. We get to turn the lights out, because we be like, sir, we are ready to go, y'all, and he gonna stand in front of that church. He gonna hug them. He gonna take a picture. It's a
Exactly.
lot of times I say, y'all, I'm about to go. Y'all can shut the sound booth off, and we gonna leave him right up there. But I can really attest to that because that's a lot of times like you don't get that in today's
Right,
ministry to where
right.
people have these relationships with their leaders like that to where I can contact my pastor. Like even and I like and again, our church, y'all, is not small. I promise y'all it's not. But if you go to any of our members, they will tell you, yes, I have my pastor personal number. I can contact my pastor. I can reach out to my pastor. And it was a lot of times when we were going through things in our family spiritually with like we have lost aunties, uncles, my grandmothers,
Hmm.
and my brothers. They were at New Covenant, but they're no longer there. When I tell you, even though they was not sitting under his leadership, this man used to put us all in a group message and tell us, I'm thinking about y'all, I'm praying for y'all. And I just want to say thank you for like even for those moments. Like I really do appreciate that, to have a leader to know that I'm laboring, I'm covering, I'm thinking about y'all. Like even in y'all hard times, y'all try us. No, it was the fact that I'm like, my brothers, why are you texting them? They don't go
Right.
here no more. But it was the fact that he literally would put us all in a group message and send our condolences and praying for our family. And I hear a lot of people talk about leaders in churches that they go to, and I just be so in awe because I be
Hmm.
like, you guys, it really hurts me because I'm like, to know that people desire that from their leaders and
Hmm.
they don't get that. I be
Hmm.
like, man, we're really lucky
Hmm.
at our church in regards to my pastor and having that connection, because when I'm telling y'all, we could pick up the phone and we could text them at any moment, we could call them at any moment, and they are going to be there. And I just want to say thank you.
Sure,
And
sure.
now I'm really lucky because I'm telling, I hear the people's story, I be like, man, I really, really couldn't imagine. And something I want to talk about nowadays is that you have a lot of pastors who kind of catch a lot of criticism for how they look. And so a lot of times people feel like
Hmm.
pastors, they're not supposed to be prosperous. They're not supposed to
Hmm.
know what prosperity look like.
Hmm.
When they see pastors such as yourself and other pastors who have it together, financially and things like
Hmm.
that, their first mindset goes to, oh, they
Hmm.
are the church is sustaining their lifestyle.
Hmm.
And I always tell people, I'm sorry if as my leader, you cannot teach prosperity to me and you don't have it.
Hmm.
You can't tell me that I can have the finer things in life and I don't see this from you, because I feel like as a leader, you got to practice what you preach.
Hmm.
And so I would say, I don't want a broke pastor. I'm sorry. That's just me. Like, I don't want a broke pastor. If you're going to teach me prosperity, you need to be showing me these things. And a lot of times on social media, you hear so many people get so caught up into it when they see pastors that have it together financially, that are teaching wealth, and they are showing the proof of these things. They immediately go to attack them. Oh, they taking the money from the church. They're doing that. And so as a pastor, like, what is your standpoint on that when you guys are catching it from
Hmm.
people because they act, or they feel as though like, oh, pastors are supposed to be broke. They're not supposed to have it.
Mm-mm. Of course, the Bible says, "The poor you'll have what you always." That's biblical spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my, my stance is balance.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be so spiritually that you don't earthly good. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the Bible says, "I wish above all that thou may prosper
Mm-hmm.
and be in health, even as your soul
Mm-hmm.
prosper." Again, I wish above all that they may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're growing spiritually, evolving spiritually, maturing spiritually, prosperity is going to automatically come. It's just that simple. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things shall be added unto
Unto you.
you, right?
Right.
So that's just biblically. And a person can't take you no further than they have gone. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful for my education. I'm thankful for my teaching. I'm thankful for the things I've experienced to get
Mm-hmm.
me to where I am today. But it's God. Heaven belongs to God. He is our resource. He is our source. The Bible says every good and perfect gift is from above. It is God's will
Mm-hmm.
to bless us and prosper. He said, choose ye blessings or cursing. He gave us a choice to choose that. So why would I choose cursing if
Right.
God told me I can choose blessings to be the head, not the tail,
Right.
above, not
Mm-hmm.
the lender
And not the
and
bar.
not the borrower.
Mm-hmm.
That's his word. So you can't eat Genesis and Exodus and don't go through you got to eat the whole
The
word, the
whole
whole
word.
world, the whole road. And in the Bible, it tells us that we're going to be prosperous.
Yep.
It's biblically. So that's my answer to that. But again, I totally get what you're saying. I wouldn't want to sit under a broke pastor too, especially I'm trying to desire and show my children how to walk in prosperity, how to talk about credit, how to talk about
Right.
managing your money, how to talk about stocks and bonds
Mhm.
and mutual funds and retirements and IRAs and those kind of things. I cannot give you something that I don't have. So if I have that information, I want to share it with my saints and making sure that they'll be able to walk into those same elements of prosperity. I don't want to be that pastor that I'm prosperous and all of my members are not.
Mhm.
I've seen those scenarios too,
Right.
where they live in large houses and they
Mhm.
drive in big cars, but then their members look broke, busted, and disgusted. We
Right.
have foreign cars all in our parking lot.
And
I'm
we
not
do.
boasting or
We're not,
bragging,
but
but
we
it
do.
is what it is.
We do. Yeah.
Most of the time, what's on the head is going to be on the body,
Right.
right? That's just how they normally
Yeah, I got it.
go.
So I don't have to. We don't have to talk about that no more. He gave y'all the answer for it. And so another thing I kind of wanted to talk about with in regards to ministry is accountability, because I feel like a lot of times people say we want accountability until accountability is given, then it's judgment. And in particular, when it goes into ministry, we say that, oh, the church is not. It's like when the church holds us accountable, we saying, oh, they're judging us or they're being judgmental. And so I want to talk about like how do you approach accountability, because again, you know your members and you know those who can take a rebuke, and then you know those who you kind of got to pat on the back. Because I'm gonna tell y'all a story about 2 Sundays ago. So we're in casual dress, right? And so and let me say I do the announcement. So the announcement said no tank tops, right? So I was
Spaghetti
like, all
strap.
right. So I'm like, that's cool. No tank tops, no spaghetti straps. Cool. And so I went to church, y'all, and I had on a dress. It was not a spaghetti strap shirt. It was a dress, and it was a spaghetti strap. Y'all, I had my long hair, so I had like put my hair over my spaghetti straps. And so even though I'm in the media ministry, a lot of times, y'all, church be so good, I be having to go to the front row of the church. So y'all, I'm up there. They were emceeing. So I'm in the service, raise my hand and stuff. Y'all, he walks in there. I got rebuked from the pulpit. Like, I'm like, sir, how did you even see this? And the crazy part was that my sister was standing on side of me, co-signing him. Y'all, he
Right?
like
As
looked
she
at me,
should.
pucked like
As she
I'm
should.
like, I was trying to explain from the seats that it's a dress, it's a
As she
dress. Like I'm
should.
trying to
Thank you,
explain
Kawan.
that it wasn't just a shirt, it was a dress that I thought I had got away, and I did. And my mama went shopping just this past couple of days because for church Sunday we gotta wear white and black. And what's crazy was that I was telling, don't get that dress, your arms out. Don't get that dress, your arms out. And they were crying, laughing at me because I'm like, yeah, I had just got rebuked for it, so do not wear that dress. But it was like I took my rebuke, I got the word, and I went home. So, like, how do you approach, accountability with members? Like, how do you approach that? Because everybody is
Right,
different.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
With that particular question, first of all, I look at it from the context. You guys can expect leaders to be accountable, then you cannot be accountable.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
Exactly.
I pride myself, whether I'm at a graduation, I'm at a funeral, I'm at a wedding, any community event. Everybody know Bishop Michael L. Smith, New Covenant Christian Center, Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure I'm representing my church,
Yep.
our brand, who we are, Christ, most
Mm-hmm.
of all, always in the way of excellence. That's I'm holding myself accountable to my sheep and
Right.
those that I serve in my family
Mm-hmm.
and those kind of things. So I just in return expect the same things from you because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, God has got a decency and in order,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm big on order, I'm
Mm-hmm.
big on excellence. I'm big on making sure that you're taking care of yourself. You can go to your job and your job asks you to do so and so you can't wear no scrubs, you can't wear no hair. We comply
Yeah,
with
we
those
do.
jobs
We do.
because of a paycheck. I feel that we should have the same attitude when it comes to church.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my concept. We're coming in the presence before a king. He's the King of Kings
Mm-hmm.
and the Lords of Lords, and we should all dress ourselves according and act according even the
Right.
more. And I'm just big and making sure I'm never an embarrassment to you guys. And
Mm-hmm.
and to this day, I have never got a complaint that I was an embarrassment. Oh, I saw your pastor, so he was like. But at the same time, when you see me in the community, I'm gonna be me.
Yeah.
Now I may have some Timberlands on, some
Mm-hmm.
jeans on, but I'm gonna be me. But if I'm at a a setting representing my church and my name is on the program, I'm going to make sure that I'm accountable to those that I serve.
Yeah, cause I remember it was a single ball something you went to, and my brother Brandon was there, and he said, "Y'all seen y'all pastor?" He said he was there for 30 minutes, and he was out the door, and we was crying from Brandon. Say I had to say hats off to him because he made sure he stood apart. 30 minutes, y'all. He came enough to show his face, take a picture, and he was out the
It was
door.
out the door.
And I'm just like, as members, that just make you so proud. You know, even people who are not members of your church, like they notice that your pastor's walking. You know, they walk in pride and dignity, like they walk into integrity. To where, like you said, even outside of the walls, I'm still leading by example, and that is just like a very a great point to make sure that even outside of the walls of the church, I'm still a pastor. I'm still representing my members. I am still representing, Christ or whatever. And so, in today's time in churches, they are evolving to where we are, social media savvy, live recording, and things like that. And so, a lot of times, because churches are evolving, they move away from the traditions, the traditional church. And I feel like in ministry, we got to stick to those traditions.
Oh,
We have to, even with evolving. So, it's kind of like with evolving, we want to make sure we are doing what we have to do to compel souls to win people, but then we still need to stick to those traditions of ministry. So we're evolving. How do you approach that in ministry with, like, I want to evolve. We are going to change and go with times, but then I still got to hold tight to some traditions because we need that.
and at the end of the day, Jesus is the foundation. Once you take the spotlight off him, once you take the focus off him, once it's no longer him, I'm out. Because he said, upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell should not prevail against it. Yes, in life we do evolve. Things do happen. Technology happen. And I'm big on, a lot of churches these days, no shade to no church, but their lights are off. I don't buy
Oh no,
into
they're
that.
gonna tell you in a minute, turn the lights on.
Cut the lights on.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I believe. That's just who I don't believe God's house should look like a club.
Yeah.
It's just me. And it's okay with LED lights these days. In modesty, though, because what happens is it starts shifting people to spirits, and you open portals. And now there was a performance spirit because people are thinking about being on a monitor, being on a stage, being on the LED. So it shifts the attitude of the room when people are more concerned about lights, stage, microphone, teleprompter, and the list goes on. So I'm big on modesty with that subject, and evolving. I remember one point we wasn't even allow our Wi-Fi to be used in the church because I didn't want people to get distracted. The whole time the word going forth.
You on the phone? Yep.
You're on the phone, so it become a distraction. So I think we should set some kind of boundaries when it comes to evolving in the church. And one of my big things is making sure that we're focused, that Jesus is the focus, that he's the reason. No lights, camera, action over here. We're not performing, we're not putting on. We're allowing God to have his space, have his time to do what he have to do. And once God moves, we move. We say the service is subject to the program. I mean, the service is subject to the move of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
That's how we flow at our church. No other way.
We do.
Yeah.
And let me tell y'all, our church, we not no old Baptist church now, y'all. Again, we had the monitors, we had the LED lights and stuff, but you're not gonna turn them lights off.
No. Now for a concert, I'll let them do it. That's
For
about
that,
it.
that's
A concert,
it. That's it.
For praise and worship, our lights are on. Definitely when the word is going
Oh,
forth.
yes.
The light was. I remember being a guest preacher at the church. I'm not gonna say the name of the church, but they had the lights on for the praise and worship, and then they still had the lights on for the word. So I gave them a pass for the praise and worship, but I was the guest speaker. As soon as I got up, cut them lights on. I did it. As a matter of fact, two churches come to think of it, because I just no, that becomes more clubbish to
Yeah.
me in that kind of atmosphere.
Like
So,
now, we would have like the lights blinking and stuff doing praise and worship, but we know when he get up there,
Lights
the
go down.
minute praise and worship, stop them
Jesus
lights
is the
from
light.
blinking.
Jesus
Stop
is the
them
light.
lights from blinking. Put them all on the same color and leave them there. Don't turn them off.
And I think certain things just shouldn't be taken out of the church.
Right.
Because we start more looking like the world, more looking like the club, more
Yep.
looking like it. So if people from the world coming in, they're like, well, what's the difference?
Right. That's
People
true.
off the street that won't change, they come to see change, but if I get there, it looks like what I left, this ain't the place for me.
It's not the place. Right.
So I believe in that concept.
Yeah. And it's another thing because I build my platform on, I want to always like reach out to millennials, make myself relatable to millennials, but also bringing the awareness of Christ. Just making people aware of God and who
Mm-hmm.
He is and what He's done. But a lot of things I hear with millennials, they always say, "Oh, I don't go to church because I feel like I'm not, relatable to the church, or the church is full of a bunch of hypocrites." Like we all know there's every single man line. They don't go to church
Mm-hmm.
because, them people are
Mm-hmm.
hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't living the lifestyle they're preaching. And then you have some millennials who just don't go because they feel like I can't relate, or I just don't feel like I belong. So for millennials who are struggling with that, with the fact of I don't go to church because I feel like I can't relate to it, or it's not doing something to compel me or pull me in, like what are some like motivation or encouragement that you can give to them in regards to looking for that in a church, or want to feel like I need the church to be more relatable to me? Like how can we get to a point to where we have millennials? But I am going to say I have seen a change because we do have more millennials now who are bold and they are sold out for Christ. They are very vocal about that. But for those who are still wavering or struggling or feeling like they want to get to a place to where, oh, I feel like I belong to this church, or this church is doing what it needs to do to become more relatable to me, like how can we encourage and push and motivate them to get to that point of looking past that, just come and give it a chance, like just trying.
Hmm. A couple of things I want to mention. First of
Mhm.
all, on the Bible said one planet in the other water, but God will give the increase.
Mhm.
So we as believers, or we just those of us that say we all, it's our obligation to make sure that we're sowing seeds, whether they're millennial or not, right?
Mhm.
Though we may not see them join our church or a church that we know, we plant that seed. God will give the rest, right?
Mhm.
Second of all, every person had to find a church that's comfortable for them, their beliefs, uh, the way they see things, because we have two different journeys. Your journey has been different from mine, so my
Mhm.
experiences, my education, uh, my moments in life have been different from. So I want to find someone that I can feel close to my journey, right?
Mhm.
So you want to find a church that's compatible to who you are, to where you're trying to go. Next thing with millennials, you have two sets of millennials right now. You do have a millennial who's really pro Christ right now, like running for God, want more of God.
Mhm.
Don't worry about the fashion and the form. They're not worried about what they got on. They just really want more of
Yeah.
Jesus. There's a large percentage of millennials that fall in that category.
Mhm.
And then there's the one that you described as well that don't want nothing but Jesus. Church is fake, preachers are fake, and the list goes on.
Mhm.
So with that generation, you can just be real. For me, the reason we've seen draw is because love. Jesus said,
Yep.
with love and kindness haven't I drawn thee. So we
Yep.
have a strong percentage of millennials that's in our church
We
right now.
do. We
And
do.
after they come to church and I talk to them, I'm just real with them. I let them be them. I don't
Mhm.
try to immediately change them.
Yep.
I preach the word every Sunday. I come down to where they are,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. I'm not saying I'm changing who I am, meaning my standards are the biblical standards that God has laid, but I try to listen to them,
Mhm.
listen to their concern, and let them be them, and let the
Yep.
word. I can't change them,
Mhm.
but the word of God can change. But my biggest influence for has just been showing them genuine love. Hey man, how you doing today?
Yep.
Hey man, do you need anything, man? Hey baby, do you just a hug?
Mhm.
You'll be surprised that people just want to come just because of a hug, or
Yep.
you see them.
Mhm.
Most people want to know that you see them. They just not another number. You
Mhm.
literally see them. So the ones that's been coming to our church is like pretty much we see them.
Yep.
All kinds of lifestyle.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
We see you, but then the love of God is bigger than what we see.
Mhm.
You feel me? So
Yes.
that's my key for winning millennials these days. I see you,
Mhm.
and God loves you.
Yep.
That's all I can do.
Mhm.
And God most of the time does the rest.
And there has been a growth in our church in regards to millennials because I'm in the media ministry, so I see a lot. And one thing I have noticed is that every Sunday we have so many millennial men at our church, and that just really make you so proud because you're like, man, it's my brother in Christ. Like to see young men
Hmm.
who are wanting to be sold out, who is coming to church, and I see that a lot, and that just makes you feel so good because we don't really have that. Sometimes you go to church, you be like, man, where are the men? Where are those who are sold out or trying? And we really do have that in our church when it comes to millennial and men.
Hmm.
So you guys know I've told you guys kind of, my journey with ministry and kind of how I got to where I am now. And so I did go through a rebellious stage. And I want to talk about my rebellious stage with my pastor because he experienced that moment for me. And I know I kind of told you guys, like, I would go to church and I'd be angry at my pastor, y'all. Like, I can talk about it now because I'm over that. And so there would literally be times I would sit in church, you guys, and oh, I'm so glad that the Lord didn't strike me down for this. But I would just rebel. Like, I would put it in my heart. Like, I would come to church intentionally to rebel. Like, I was not standing up for the reading of the word. I would be on my phone. Hey, Bishop, this is my this is my story to tell. I would be
I'm
on.
just amening you silently.
I would be on my phone. Like, I would literally come there and
Disconnected.
sit. Yes, I had really like turned off spiritually. And so, yeah, it was probably like a good 2, 3 years.
And she came in. Let me say that she came every week. Now she didn't miss a week.
And I didn't.
She did not.
I did
Let me
not.
throw that. She did not miss a week. But go ahead.
I did not miss a Sunday of church, y'all. I didn't miss nothing. I was at church. Y'all, there was nobody but the devil. Like, there was really nobody but the devil. But literally, I did not miss a Sunday, but I would literally come to church, and I would just come from a place of being, I tell you guys, I came from a place of just being like anger and bitter and brokenness because I put the expectation of man on God. I did. I felt like men had to be God, and I would tell you guys that's why I went wrong at. But as my pastor, seeing me walk in that church that long in that spirit of rebellion, like, for me, I was like, if I was a pastor, baby, you got to go, just go. But as a pastor, like, seeing me in that point in my life, like seeing me walking into that bitterness, that angerness, and that brokenness, like, how was that for you as a pastor? Like, when do you know, okay, it's time for me to approach this? Like, when did you know?
Well, first of all, the Bible said, know those that labor among you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because I'm big with my sheep and I have a real relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear them and I see them and I get to know them and I know their heart. We're in a real relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I can sense when something have shifted or something have changed or you're in a way, we can sense that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's about patience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you in your moment right now, you're doing you right now.
There's a lot of patience.
I'm just glad you're here. That's what I had to do that season, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't allow me passing you being distracted by your rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day and at the core, I know you love Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I held on to your deliverance that I knew would come. Because at the end of the day, I know where you are right now because we have a real relationship.
Right.
But your core is you love Jesus with all of your heart. So I knew when God really got a hold of you, him himself was going to do what he needed to do. And that's what he did.
He did, yeah.
So I totally get where and I see it a lot of time where I see people that start out in the front row, they move to the middle, or that they moving towards the back, or they're on the last seat, and most time next time they on their way out the door if you don't catch them, right?
Yeah.
So because they in their rebellion, they in offense, something have happened, something is going on with. They may be mad with the pastor, they may be mad with an auxiliary, they may be mad with somebody in the church, but they don't want to leave the church. They know this is where God have called, but they just in that moment, and it's okay. That's church.
Yeah.
If you know church. You got to talk about church hurt.
Yep.
You got to talk about church offense.
Yep.
It's happened. It's a big subject. My thing is, it's a reality, but let's move past it. There is a process that we can be whole from that hurt. Right? I don't want to never negate the fact that people wasn't hurt in church because people have been hurt in church for decades. But I still believe that there is a wholeness that take place and that God can reconcile those relationships. So for you, again, it was patience for me and having a real relationship with you. I knew where you were because I'm spiritually inclined and I have another sense outside of Michael. I can sense things in the spirit realm to my advantage. So I knew, again, your core is you love Jesus and God, and I knew God was going to allow your day of freedom and liberty to come, that you'll move out of that rebellion spirit and fall into obedience and submit to God's will for your life. And we have seen the fruit thereof. We're here today because of your obedience to God, literally.
Yeah, it took a lot of patience. Yeah, I'm telling you,
and she's so gifted, Lord. She just so gifted, and she knows she gifted. She knows she gifted.
But it was really real, and I said I'm gonna have to ask my pastor, how did he put up with me coming into that church, being so rebellious, and like you said, everybody experienced church hurt, and I think for me, that's what it was. It was church hurt. I just didn't really know how to overcome it. But y'all, I used to be so rebellious, and my mama would like go home every day, and she would chew me out
What?
for it. She would literally chew me out. And y'all, I really used to go to church. And I remember asking because that just took a lot of patience as
Yeah.
a pastor because it had to be about 2 to 3 years. I was like really stuck in that place. And I always tell you guys how I got out of it. Really, the Lord released the word through my bishop. And so I had to let it go. Like, and let me tell y'all, that Sunday when Bishop released that word to me, it was like a weight just came off of me. Everything that I was mad about in my feelings about, like, it no longer existed. And it took that moment to get me to the point now to where when I go to church, I only want to see Jesus. I only want to experience God. So I don't be worried about the people no more. I don't be worried about any of that because my main focus be Christ. I'm gonna go get this word and I'm gonna go and get out the door. Yeah, that spirit had hold of me.
Thank
It,
God for
it, it
thank God
really
for
it really really did. But and I just always wanted to have that conversation with you, like in that moment, like how did you know that? Because y'all, I used to be so
and I wanted to
rebellious.
share to the audience just in case they are watching and they are experiencing church hurt and you have a difficult time receiving from your pastor or
Hmm.
you have a different time and you want to get off of auxiliary, you don't want to serve anymore. Go and have that conversation with them if you can schedule a meeting. Don't allow the enemy to keep talking to your head because you got to realize he comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. He don't want you walking in your purpose. He don't
Hmm.
want you walking in your destiny. You have a call on your life. You have a mantle on your life. You have an assignment for God to do, and the enemy knows that, and he's threatened by that. So church hurt is one of the things that he highlight to keep you out of church because he
Yes.
know there was the word where that's where the word of God is going to be transcended unto you, that you'll be able to walk in your purpose and that
Yep.
you'll be able to find out your purpose. So just if you can do a favor for me before you leave that church, before you disconnect, before you start starting lines and rumors about the leaders about that church, before you put all these, go and try to have a conversation with that leader
Hmm.
about whatever you're going through because there's always two sides to a story. A lot of time leaders see from a leader's perspective and you seeing from a sheep's perspective. Those are two different perspectives. Those are two different sheep. So in that conversation, if they hear you, they'll be able to hear your side, but at the same time, you'll be able to see the big picture of why they responded in the way they responded, or why they allowed a thing to take place in that church that you're mad and that you're upset about, that you don't agree with. I'm just going to say this. When I was coming up in ministry, I did not agree with everything that happened in my
Hmm.
church.
Yep.
A lot of time. I closed my mouth. I prayed about it. But at the end of the day, I knew this what God had called me to,
Hmm.
right? So that's the attitude I took. And a lot of time I didn't get an answer. A lot of time I didn't have a conversation with my leader. But just like O had, I had that moment, just like Saul had, the light from heaven shine, and I had a revelation, and God allowed me to get rid of that thing and move my life forward. So don't allow nothing or nobody to pluck you up out of the place that God had planted you, whatever church that may be
Yep. And I can honestly say when I had that encounter and when I let all of that go and I moved past sport, when I moved past that, when I tell y'all I have seen like the growth just within myself spiritually, I have seen it. I have seen God like move on my behalf in ways that I never did. And I was telling myself like, man, I wish I would have got over this sooner than later. But again, it's a process. We have to go through it. Sometimes everything is just a teachable moment for you. But I'm just so excited that I had the chance to sit down on my sofa with my
my
pastor
place.
to have this conversation. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to shed light on some of the topics, just having this conversation of what it means to be a shepherd and dealing with different sheep, dealing with you, like you said, you know us, you know your sheep. And so I just want to say thank you for being willing to come and have this conversation with me to kind of just shed light on some things that people go through within ministry. I pray that this conversation, yeah, you guys know I close out, but he did my job because he's already closed out for me. But I just want to say thank you so much, Apostle, for coming Y'all might be saying why I'm saying bishop and apostle. He was recently elevated to apostle, but because
And
I've
I
been,
struggle with saying apostle
yes, I was
sometimes.
gonna
Sometimes
say,
you
but
people say
I've been
bishop.
sitting under him for so long, so it's like I'm so used to saying bishop, 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 so we still call him bishop. But no, you guys, he's an apostle. So let me point that out. But I just want to say thank you so much. Like I really do. I appreciate it. I thank you for this conversation. Thank you for being willing and open to have this conversation. And I want you guys to know, make sure you guys tune in to this conversation, share, like, comment, and make sure you click the subscribe button, because I know that this conversation is going to encourage someone, motivate someone who may be struggling spiritually. But I pray that this conversation here, it gave you guys answer. Thank you guys for tuning in to Look Who's Talking Podcast. Bishop, you got anything you want to say?
At the end of the day, God is love. So never forget that. Let that always to be the foundation of who we are. God is love.
Remember that, you guys. God is love. We will see you guys the next conversation. Peace.
Peace out.